and then a couple pages into module 14 about child development. Okay? Now, today we're going to start with talking about prenatal development. Okay, prenatal development. So, in utero.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. All right. So, prenatal development has basically 3 stages. Okay. So, you have starting with the germinal phase. The germinal phase is the first 2 weeks. First 2 weeks of life. Okay. This is going to happen when the sperm meets the egg, which, by the way, biologically speaking, where in the body does the sperm meet the actual egg?
The uterus.
No.
The ovary.
No. Ovaries release the eggs. But what's in between the ovaries and the uterus? What's that called? Fallopian tubes. Okay, you know your biology. All right, so in the germinal phase of development, we have what we call a zygote. A zygote is a fertilized egg that has cell division and cell differentiation. When the sperm meets the egg in the fallopian tubes, okay, what happens is that, okay, magic. All of a sudden, we have sperm meeting the egg, and all of a sudden you have the cell dividing, and it's dividing and dividing and dividing and dividing, and it's continually making more and more cells. And what happens is that you actually have cell differentiation, so you will actually have the individual cells will decide, okay, what part of the body they're eventually going to be. So scientists really don't even know how or why this happens as far as what makes one cell become part of your stomach and what makes one cell, part of a muscle tissue or another cell part of your brain. Nobody really knows how or why that happens. But in the germinal phase, this is the first 2 weeks of life. Okay, so this zygote is basically dividing and dividing, and it's deciding all these cells what they're going to be. And the germinal phase ends when the zygote actually attaches to the uterine wall. So I have a lovely little picture up here, some female anatomy for you. Okay, so we have our cell division at the top, and it says day 1, and you'll notice as it progresses through, it kind of looks like, I think of it almost like a bunch of gumballs, or it kind of looks like a kid's rubber ball, and it's got all these little pieces to it, okay? But it's continuing to divide and divide as it's traveling basically from the fallopian tubes all the way down to the uterine wall, okay? This is a very slow process because it takes it 2 weeks to be able to get to the uterus, okay? This is the phase where you may actually have a fertilized egg, you may have a zygote that actually ends up not being carried full term. There are many, many, many instances where women are actually pregnant, they actually have a fertilized egg, and something happens to it. It may not, for example, attach itself to the uterine wall. It may be something genetically wrong with it, the body rejects it, and the woman never even knows that she's pregnant. And it just gets flushed out with the rest of her period, and it's just going to be heavy. Okay? Sounds disgusting, but it does happen. Okay? And what happens is that you actually have lots of cases where there's a fertilized egg, and it never actually comes to fruition to an actual baby. Okay? So what I'm trying to tell you here is that this is very common to happen. And there are women that do have problems getting pregnant, and part of the reason that they have problems getting pregnant is just the idea of this whole attaching to the uterine wall. There are sometimes some women that they have inhospitable uterus. For some reason, that zygote just will not attach. It will not attach to the uterine wall. So as a result, they can never actually carry a baby full term.
What if they put some glue on there?
Glue in the uterine wall? There's a theory. They haven't tried that. All right, next phase. The next phase is the embryonic phase. This is going to be from 2 to 8 weeks after conception. Okay, still, this gets into the fuzzy phase where a lot of women don't know they're pregnant. Okay? How many before they actually find out that they're pregnant?
3.
More. 6. At least 6. Sometimes longer than that. At least 6 weeks before they actually know that they're pregnant. So the embryonic stage is in the full effect by the time they find out they're pregnant. The reason this is problematic is that the embryo, guys, the embryo is going to be when the organs are actually formed and they start to function. During this embryonic phase, all of a sudden we have all those cells that were dividing during this germinal phase. They're now specializing and they're actually determining organs. And so we're actually forming organs now, and organs are starting to function. Now, that does not mean that a baby in the embryo stage could survive outside the uterus. They still have a lot to go, but the organs are already starting to form. Okay? You also have, during the embryonic stage, you also have the placenta, the umbilical cord, the amniotic fluid. All of those things also form during the embryo stage.
When you have a baby and you take it home, does it have the umbilical cord
Attached?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, someone was Mrs. Dory was talking about how a person
Okay, let me rephrase this. Yeah, there's like a stub. Okay, so which by the way, okay.
It falls off.
Yes, it does. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about these 3 things. Okay, guys, let's talk about these 3 things. Placenta. Okay, placenta is going to be the way that the mother gets nutrients to the baby, and it goes through the umbilical cord. Which, by the way, belly buttons. Why do you have a belly button? That was from the umbilical cord. Okay. When you were born, guys, take hold together, ladies. When you were born, someone, maybe your dad, maybe the doctor, cut the umbilical cord, right? And they tied it off, and there was like a little nub left, there's a little stub left, right? And for like the first, like week or so, what they tell new mothers is that, just kind of wash around it, and honestly, what happens, you're all grossed out by this. This happened to you, okay? What happens is that this is a little nub, right? And eventually what happens is that it dries up and it falls off. And it usually ends up like during a diaper change or something like that, it ends up, because like it kind of gets rubbed by the shirt or whatever, and it ends up falling off, and it's just this little dried up, piece of, it looks like a piece of skin. It's dried up.
Is that why some people have innies and outies?
No,
Yes.
Depending on how it falls off?
Well, the innies and outies are based off of basically how the umbilical cord, like when they continue to grow, and because it's basically how it was cut off and things like that. So some people have innies because it grew like that, and so yeah, it's a result of your umbilical cord. Now the other thing is, by the way, placenta. Okay, this is gonna really. If you were grossed out by the umbilical cord, you're really gonna be grossed out by the placenta.
Don't some people do that?
What is CPH?
They make it into like
Placentas. This is when after the baby's born, right? So the baby comes out, and then the placenta comes out, and it's a great big bloody mess, right? Placenta comes out, and no, it's not a human. It's
No, I've never
the placenta can be used. It has a lot of nutrients in it, because obviously that's what's been feeding the baby for 9 months. So it has a lot of nutrients in it. So yes, there are some people that will go and eat it. There are also people that will take their placenta home and like use it as fertilization for like a tree, and to like honor the new baby, they will plant it with the tree, and like I said, it has a lot of nutrients in it, so it will actually make the tree grow. It's like fertilizer. Oh.
That's so weird.
That's gross. Don't
I'm sorry, it's true.
Don't cats that keep their umbilical cord in the placenta.
That is not true. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Okay, so embryonic stage. I love that you are all so grossed out by this.
Wait, when does CPH4 come in?
What?
When does CPH4 come in?
What do you mean? That I don't know. I don't know
I
that.
think that's just fictional.
Okay, so the big thing about the embryonic stage though is that this is when the baby is particularly vulnerable to drugs and viruses. Because you got to keep in mind that this is when the organs are forming, okay? So if you have a mother, and remember, they don't know, the mom doesn't know that they're pregnant oftentimes until the end of the embryonic stage. So if they're doing, some hardcore drugs, obviously cocaine or heroin or any of those things, yeah, that's going to be negatively affecting. But also even alcohol, negative effect on their smoking. If they get a virus, if they get a really bad infection or something, that could have negative effects on the baby. Some women have actually lost the baby at this stage because of a virus, okay, that they had. So this is the crucial stage where it can be really, impactful. And the problem is that most women don't even know that they're pregnant at this point. And then this phase ends when the embryo looks more human. And I'll show you a picture of the embryonic stage, and you're going to be like, what? That doesn't even look like a baby. Okay, at this stage, it really looks like an alien.
Does that have a tail?
Yeah, for a while, we do all have tails. Yeah, our tails disappear, obviously, in development. But this, by the way, this picture, guys, this picture I got from a website. There's actually lots of them now that you can actually go on and you can enter your due date, okay? You can enter the due date and they will send you weekly updates on this is what your baby is doing now. This is the things are developing. This is a picture of your baby. This is a picture of the baby at, I think, 8 weeks, okay? Doesn't look like a baby. It's not very impressive. Obviously, this is extraordinarily blown up because at this point, no one can tell that the woman is actually pregnant. And most women choose not to share that they're pregnant until they're about 12 weeks because the chances during the first trimester of losing the baby is very high. So they usually wait until about 12 weeks before they actually share with anyone. Okay? So this is our embryonic stage.